Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. This week on our Explain series, we were talking about the Mayan ball game, and this week we are also sticking with Central America and looking at another aspect of Mayan culture that was quite prominent: cacao. I got it right this time.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, this is definitely
Take
not.
one of
Yeah.
one.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, we finally gotten him to say cacao without breaking down entirely. So this is wonderful. So yeah, we have Mayans with cacao. We have some lovely new insights. They have tracked a number of archaeologists have done some chemical trace evidence to track the preparation and spread of the consumption of cacao in Central America.
Why is this important? Well, our current understanding at the time was that cacao was something that was often a ceremonial beverage, something that was very bitter that you would drink during ceremonies. But this new study, which looks at the chemical residue that was left over from the cacao making process, and it shows that it actually was more democratized than that. It was more available to the general population and was consumed by pretty much everyone.
Yeah. What was very surprising with this is the scientists and archaeologists have gone through and they've tested ceramics of all various types of vessels for the trace residual elements of cacao on them, and they found that it's not just cups, which is what they expected it to be in, because it's traditionally drunk as a drink, but it's also on bowls and plates. And the current theory resulting from this is that bowls would have been used to mix and prepare the drink, heat it up before serving it in the cups. And plates, well, it seems cacao was also a sort of dressing for a number of other dishes.
Which is interesting because cacao at this stage and at this point still was a very bitter material, and it wasn't full of sugar like we think
Yeah,
modern chocolate.
it is not
Yeah.
chocolate. This stuff makes dark chocolate and extra dark chocolate look extremely sweet.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is this is this is a sharp, bitter taste. This is a I would even go as far as say it's not particularly pleasant.
So it really
It's an
is
acquired taste.
it's really interesting if you have like pure chocolate, the what like the expectation again, thinking that like, oh, it's gonna be sweet, and then when you bite into it, the realization of horror of how bitter and awful it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're used to American chocolate at least.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things of all the steps you have to go through to get a hold of this and then eat it, and you still thought this was a good idea.
Which also kind of just adds to the fact like the the weird story of chocolate in general about like getting it from Central America and then going to Europe, where during the colonial period and making it sweet by adding a bunch of sugar and then like spraying it out. Like it was highly coveted, but in this case, it was highly coveted because it's also currency. The money literally grows on
Oh,
trees.
you stole that from the article. But yes, it is considered the money that grew on trees.
Yeah.
I
But
can imagine it's like it's like, what are you doing wasting that cacao? You think this grows on trees?
Yeah.
yes.
It does.
But
Yes,
the
it does.
kind of circling back to the article itself, the way that they were able to identify what was used for coffee, or not coffee, chocolate. I said that again. I'm going to just keep rolling. But the reason they were able to identify it as being a part of the chocolate making process, the cacao, is they looked for the three distinct biomarkers of cacao, which are caffeine, theobromine, and theophylline. And they basically tested thousands of sherds to see which ones had these markers on them.
Yeah, and with
Would
identifying these markers, what gets me very excited is that this is a largely accidental discovery. The original project, the that was being conducted, was a study of DNA and ultraviolet light, and they weren't actually looking for chocolate at first. And like the discovery of sugar is kind of a happy accident. They realized that the process that they were using to identify DNA traces could also be used to isolate specific organisms, such as cacao, the cacao bean.
Just another happy accident in the field of archaeology.
Yeah, they discovered with their spectroscopy that they could the spectroscopy of certain elements could be isolated, and it's like, hey, these three things are what is the key chemical components of the cacao bean. Let's turn on the light and see if we can find them.
I can imagine they probably went through like hundreds and hundreds of shards. This was probably a time-consuming process. They're like, all right,
sure.
let's start from the beginning.
That-
Pottery
this is-
shard number 1.
But see, they actually address it very similarly later in the article in probably the single like biggest like ego stroke move in the world. I think they go, we can find a needle in the haystack provided we know what the needle looks like. In this case, the target molecule was a certain biomarker for cacao, and that's what made this possible. They're like, we will find that needle. We just need to know what the needle looks like.
This little experiment, which is proven successful, consists 54 ceramic shards from El Pilar, which is it says it's like right near on the border of Belize and Guatemala.
Yeah, there's a
And
map
it is-
up above.
Yeah, and there is they're from the late classic period, and they're from both civic and residential contexts, which means a number of these are like the plates in an ordinary person's house, and others are the tableware that are used at state functions.
So that also gives the variation in the type of events and the type of circumstances in which it's drunk. They did this both as probably an availability of the sherds, but also I think they did it in a variability sort of way. They wanted to see, because they looked specifically for vessels that it would have been carried in or drunk out of, but they also chose a wide assortment of those similar types of vessels just to see.
Yeah, they wanted. Yeah, the point was to provide a cross section of all of society and not just go looking where we expect to find it to prove the spectroscopy works.
Which would have been a confirmation bias. They would have looked at only elite vessels, found the substance on the elite vessels, and gone, see, it shows that they only drink out of elite vessels. No, this is a sign of like good holistic research.
I was saying more like, see, our new method works. Rather than if they were only looking at vessels where they expected to find it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off like that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
He's gonna take it personally again. Gonna call it coffee one more time.
Usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a very interesting take, and it shows that, again, like we always say, even though our knowledge of history is pretty well defined, there's always things that we don't fully know. And even a small thing like this can redefine our general understanding of a culture and of a society, especially with something that's previously seen as an elite good.
Yep.
Is that a good summarization?
Yeah, that's a good summary there, Justin. And we should probably end it off now. Type coffee in the comment section to prove you made it through the entire video.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell.
Yes, and if there's a specific topic that you would like to see, whether it be coffee or whether it be a different subject topic, drop a comment down below, let us know, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.